weeks of pregnancy. U.S. District Judge William Osteen reinstated the 20-week ban yesterday, with exceptions for urgent medical emergencies. He says the Supreme Court's Dobbs v. Jackson decision in June erased the legal foundation for his 2019 injunction against the state law. Republican leaders had pushed for Osteen to take a fresh look at the situation after Dobbs v. Jackson. Attorney General Josh Stein's office wanted the injunction to stay in place. In Columbus County, the sheriff's office has arrested a man they say is responsible for 5 breaking and entering incidents in Tabor City. 52-year-old Jimmy Stanley Thompson is accused of breaking into 2 vehicles on July 18th, stealing a gun from each. The sheriff's office also believes he broke into another vehicle the next day. Thompson then allegedly stole more guns from vehicles on July 31st and allegedly broke into another vehicle the next day. He was arrested August 6th. The Columbus County Sheriff's Office has also arrested 3 teens for a break-in at the Tiger Mart in Cerro Gordo. 18-year-old Sean DeMarcus Doe of Cerro Gordo was arrested Monday after allegedly taking part in a break-in at the Tiger Mart on Andrew Jackson Highway Southwest late Tuesday night, along with a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old. One juvenile was arrested with Doe, while the other was arrested 3 days later. Doe received a $10,000 secured bond. The 2 juveniles were taken to a detention facility in New Hanover County. Authorities believe all 3 may be connected to other crimes in Cerro Gordo. And the North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher has 3 new baby otters, and now the public can finally see them in action. They're not even 3 months old yet, but the 3 Asian small-clawed otter pups at the North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher already have gotten an Otterly big fan club on social media. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. Another quiet day on tap under sunshine and clouds, and pretty nice beach weather as our highs get into the lower 80s. Low risk for rip currents, and inland of the coast will climb into the middle 80s, about a degree or 2 shy of where we should be for this time of year. Not going to rule out an isolated downpour throughout the afternoon hours, but most backyards hold on to the dry time. Overnight tonight, though, clouds increase, and our chances for showers start to increase heading into Friday. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh, local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
This week on Living Fit After 50, we're joined by Greg Justice, Hall of Fame trainer and author. Greg will be discussing his new book, Pride and Discipline, The Legacy of Jack LaLanne, as well as giving his tips on living fit after 50. Join us 1 p.m. right here on the Big Talker Network.
Hey, welcome back, kids. It's the super skinny slim guy. Welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. Please visit the website, bigtalker.live, bigtalker.live. I don't know if you can spell that, bigtalker.live. Download the app for Android and iOS devices. You can also peruse our schedule of content. At your fingertips on that app is any of the shows we've done. Right there in the video, the audio, the podcast, anything you want to do. There's also an email link on that there website and on the app. You can send us an email with any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques you may have. We can't improve without your feedback. We want to be your local radio station on the internet. That's right. We are without boundaries. If you partner, pair, what do they call that Bluetooth thing? your smart device with your automobile's entertainment system, you can take the Big Talker anywhere, everywhere you need to be, everywhere you go in this world, without missing a single sentence, word, or whatever they call that stuff. Anyway, yeah, we're here at the Asylum. I'm exhausted. It was a great night last night. Voice in the pen. I'm sorry every Thursday morning is like this. That's why I don't schedule guests, in case I can't get out of bed. Because it's a late night. It's a lot of fun. A lot of good music. Meeting artists and performers that I'd not seen before. And if you don't like doing that, well, you know, I don't need you in my life. But if you enjoy good music, original music, and realize that every song you have ever tapped your toes to was unknown and unwritten. In fact, many songs that you enjoy were written by people that aren't famous. Right? And even if they're not famous, doesn't mean they're not good or cool or, you know, whatever. And that's why we do the Voice in the Pen every Wednesday down at the Waterline Brewery. The first Wednesday, Trent takes over the mixing duty, so all I have to do is babysit the cameras. Trent over at Live at Ted's, which is like 2 blocks away from Waterline. We like that neighborhood. We like the water. We like the riverfront right there. So yeah, I can't say enough good stuff about that, but I got a story coming out of my old TV station, WAVE in Louisville, Kentucky. Good peeps over there, a lot of fun, learned a lot working at them peoples, and then they ran a story that's like, this is why we can't have nothing nice in America right now. Here we go. You ready for this? This is coming out of actually, I think it was Cincinnati. No, Cleveland. I'm glad I didn't live there either. Anyway, the headline is, person dies of electrocution, body found tangled in wires at substation. Just a quick precursor to all this is that the moisture in your body makes you as a human being a very conductive item. You pass electricity pretty damned well, all things considered. So, Chris Anderson and Gray News staff coming out of WOIO. The Cleveland EMS division confirmed a person was fatally electrocuted early Wednesday morning at a power substation on the city's east side. First responders were initially dispatched to the substation at approximately 2:55 a.m., according to EMS officials. Do you catch that time? 2:55 a.m. Nothing good happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, it gets even better because not only did the human barbecue climb up into the substation, the individual is pronounced dead at the scene. Okay. It gets better. Crews spent several hours working to shut off power and extricate. I love that word, extricate. I know I'm going to get in trouble. My boss will call me and be like, you can't say that. Stop it. Extricate the body from where the male was discovered tangled in the live wires approximately 30 feet in the air. He got up into the air 30 foot in the power lines of a substation and got cooked. It's this last sentence y'all need to pay attention to, and this is the one that just makes me bust up laughing and have absolutely no empathy, sympathy, or any give a damn for this person whatsoever. Here we go. According to Cleveland police, early information indicates that the male, who was in possession of a bolt cutter when he was found, climbed up the side of the substation and encountered a live power source. Yeah, come on now, Copper Top. Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. with a set of bolt cutters. Can we just say that this situation took care of itself? This is poetry in motion, right? This is natural consequences for stupid actions, right? I got another story, and it was tearing up the internet there for a second, where A lady decided she wanted to go swimming in the polar bear exhibit. You heard that right. This person jumped into the polar bear exhibit and was promptly eaten. Because think about it, man. Polar bears get some of the deadest, most boring food ever, right? It's like, I mean, even dogs, right? You just feed them the same bag of crap day after day. At some point, their life is like, look, I'm going to eat anything just to see what it tastes like because I have no taste buds left eating the same manufactured gruel day after day, and the dogs are going to try anything else, right? And then this guy, I wish they would have released his name so that we could say, you know, this guy as bright as Sean Whalen. If you haven't discovered Sean Whalen, he popped up on the internet again today. Apparently, more and more people are discovering the type of jackhole this guy is. Sean Whalen, lions, not sheep, selling Chinese-made T-shirts after tearing the Made in China tag out and putting Made in America. I got busted, and apparently I was incorrect in my information as far as how much he was fined by the Federal Trade Commission. Apparently it was in the neighborhood of $215,000. Apparently still not enough to bankrupt the bastard, right? Because, I mean, if you don't have a marketable skill, then, yeah, that's how you make your money. You just grift and lie. Sounds like the orange people have just started a whole franchise. Hey, you can lie to the public, take their money, and suffer no consequences whatsoever for your behaviors. That's how we do right here in America. That's how Sean Whalen came to be such a popular man. Neck-bearded mofo, ugly moan. Yeah. Good job, man. If only it had been Sean Whalen with a pair of bolt cutters 30 feet in the air in Ohio, in Cleveland. That would have been awesome. Light him up like a torch. But the thing is, you know, when you electrocute, think about it. A substation's running like 30 kilovolt lines, right? These are super high power. And current is based on load. And since you are a pretty resistive load to a circuit, it's going to take a while for you to fully cook. I mean, I bet he was dead long before EMS ever got there. In which case, he was just smoldering and roasting. Right, almost like a brisket on the grill, just smoking, and just smoking. That was his last shot at a hot body. Yeah, I guess they don't need to bury him; they'll just cremate him. Cause of death? 30 volts, 30,000 volts, right? 30 kilovolts. Oh my God. The other story that popped, and I just wanted to revisit the Twitter folk. I don't know if Elon is aware of Ahmad Abu 10 to 20 years in prison. Apparently, the former Twitter employee, whatever the hell his name was found guilty for spying for the government of Saudi Arabia, who recently played golf in Bedminster, just to let you know. I mean, perfect view, right? As you're swinging your club on the third hole, right? You're teeing off at the third hole, and you can see where the towers used to be. I bet that filled them with love. That just made them giddy, right? Anyway, Saudi Arabia, the jury, this is a report from Bloomberg, the jury handed down its judgment in San Francisco in federal court where Abu was convicted of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and falsifying records. Previously worked at Twitter as a media partnerships manager and helped prominent figures in the Middle East and North Africa promote their accounts. What a guy. Good job, Twitter. However, he leveraged his position to access the email addresses, phone numbers, and birth dates of users who were critical of the Saudi government. Then transmitted that information to Saudi officials who were playing golf in Bedminster between November 2014 and May 2015 and received gifts in return. Probably more than a golf tee. And I don't mean a golf tee shirt. The little wooden peg you stick in the ground. You stick that in his ear. In 2019, the Department of Justice charged Abwam and another former Twitter employee, alias with espionage. The agency later expanded those charges in 2020 to include a third individual, Ahmed Al-Mutamari, I don't know, who allegedly coordinated the scheme. Both Al-Mutari and Al-Zagabaga, whatever the hell, boogerhead, remain wanted by the U.S. government. Last year, human rights activist Al-Ahmed sued Twitter, claiming the platform could have done more to protect his information. So as long as you're playing golf at Bedminster with the Saudi government officials, maybe you can get, give them some more information. Give them, nuclear secrets. Let them know what our operatives are doing and where they're positioned around the globe. I mean, why not? You're just showing off everything else in your Florida location. You might, what is this, like a hand-signed, the love letters from Kim, right? Okay. According to Bloomberg, prosecutors accused of working with an aide to Salman, Mohammed bin Salman, Salmon? I thought that was a fish. Who now serves as Saudi Arabia's crown prince, playing golf in Bedminster to suppress dissidents. Reportedly argued that he was just doing his job and blames Twitter for not securing users' data. Oh, because the door was unlocked, it's their own damn fault for me going in and stealing nuclear secrets from the basement of Mar-a-Lago. Okay, that makes sense. Amwamwamwamo faces 10 to 20 years in prison when sentenced. Twitter declined to comment. Of course, all they do is save money by eliminating a guy's position, and of course everybody sucks up what that salary would have been in bonuses. I saw that happen at a local TV station here, which is why some of the productions look so poor, is that they eliminated all of the editors from the facility, and now all the reporters who aren't editors have to edit their own stuff. And it looks like it. But yeah, that's where we are. We got Saudi Arabia playing golf in Bedminster, Florida, or Bedminster, New Jersey. We got Florida woman jumping into a polar bear exhibit for a quick dip. Ends up as a human taco for the polar bear. It's probably the best meal he's had in a minute. Eating the same bagged gruel for the last 20 years, and he's like, hey, look, fresh meat. Bones and all. Come on, baby, hop in. The water's fine. That's why we're here. Yeah, Thursday mornings are rough for me because, well, just think about it. It was late last night. It was a lot of fun. Good music. And then I wake up and my brain is like complete mush, and all I can think of is all the hateful, terrible things, right? I mean, just as, since nobody's listening and I have nothing else in my brain, waking up with blood in my ear is a lot of fun. So, child abuse is a real thing, and back in the 1960s, it wasn't even a term, right? So we discovered what happened to me in, 1995, a good, 33 years after the incident occurred, before I even knew my own name. And for the rest of my life, I will wake up alternately with blood in my ear or lots of pus or goo or whatever, because the side of my head was smashed and the skull cracked wide open, and nobody did anything about it. Nobody even noticed, because my dad was just like, hey, we'll just put a little astringent on there and let him take a nap, and he'll never know the difference. Until I was 30 years old in constant pain and couldn't figure it out, and the doctor said, hey, we need to open up your skull. And they did. So now I have 2 holes that have been drilled into my skull to relieve some of the pressure and, of course, some of the cholesteatoma, 8 ounces of which they removed from my skull. It also damaged all the nerves feeding the mandibula. I believe that's the term for that part of your face that holds your teeth. Right? So the lack of blood, the lack of nerves, the lack of nutrients has atrophied huge sections of my face. So I'm uglier than just about any elected official you can name. Makes me quite unpopular with the ladies, and of course, you know, y'all just play on, man. It don't matter. Ain't not saying, you know, we just call it discipline. Right? So the lady one of the ladies was talking about that, and, you know, I was like, you want to talk analgesics? You want to, you know, because I know many people that were assigned, or I should say prescribed pain meds, right? And now they're just, they're screwed, man. You know, they're completely addicted. Their body is completely racked. And I just learned to live with it, right? I mean, a couple of ibuprofens and push through, because ain't nobody going to care. Ain't nothing nobody can do about it, and I sure as hell don't want to be strung out on opioids for the rest of my life, right? But I am a constant reminder as to why adoption agencies and foster care situations need to be a little bit more diligent when placing infants, right? I was adopted apparently at around 3 days old, was almost immediately swept into the hospital with lung problems. Right? My lungs kept collapsing due to cysts that were found on my lungs, keeping in mind that my biological parents were some of the most irresponsible bastards ever to walk the face of the earth. Got drunk one night, decided to bump uglies and swap body fluids, creating me in the process, throwing me into a pool of crap to be adopted by a government family. Right? The doctor worked for the government forever. He was also a violent and abusive alcoholic, and now here I am relating this story to you when you wonder why I have trouble maintaining any sort of decorum when I run into somebody who's just a talentless, skillless, useless bully, or somebody who intimidates, or somebody who tries to exert some sort of force, psychological force on others. I will burn you to the ground. Sean Whalen, if you and I ever met, it would end badly for you. Because I know the pain I can endure. I do it every day. There's not a lot you can do to stop me if we were to encounter each other. And this goes for anybody who wants to be a bully. If you're a bully in front of me to somebody, to anybody, I don't care. I may not agree with the person wearing a dress and a boot, but if you bully them, I will tear you to pieces. They are allowed to do and behave and act pretty much any way they want, as long as they're not interfering in your life, my life, or whatever. And the moment somebody tries to bully them or say something or get on them, no. You're going to have me to deal with, because I've already been through that. I was bullied just because I was the youngest of the stepchildren. My brother was able to get the hell out of town. The oldest stepbrother had already gone on to college. The younger stepbrother, who had been bullied by his big brother, decided to trickle down to where I'm at, along with what my drunken father did, and of course my overly disciplined, strict guy stepfather. Yeah, at some point I'm going to have a reaction. Believe me, I'm going to have a reaction. And Miss Faircloth, I wouldn't even worry about the DSS people, right? The people doing the work are, for the most part, trying to do the job. However, the diligence, right? Checking in on them maybe 6 months later, 8 months later. In my case, 2 years later, because keep in mind, the first 2.5 years I spent in an oxygen tent in the hospital while they did operations on my lungs, trying to get me to stay alive, which was fine. So I was a little delayed in my development because I didn't hear a lot of vocals, right? I didn't hear a lot of speech, so it took me a while to learn my own name. Took me a long time to learn how to walk, because when you're an infant flopping around in a bed, they bolt you down so you don't mess up all the tubing and stuff they got poked into you. So yeah, before I even knew how to walk correctly or knew my own name, my father decided to backhand me with a closed fist and crush the entire left side of my skull. Nobody did a damn thing about it. I wake up this morning, for example, with a pillow full of blood. The DSS didn't do this. The violent, drunk alcoholic did this. Now I've got a neighbor who busted her hand punching into a wall when she was drunk, wanted to meet me when she was drunk again. And it's like, you know what? I don't want anything to do with you. I've had people like you in my life, and I would much rather bury you than talk to you. So yeah, true confessions right here on the Asylum. If you ever wonder why it is I get angry when I hear of stupid shit like Sean Whalen grifting people with his Made in America BS from China, I get a little upset because the lying and all this stuff needs to be addressed directly. And if people don't pay consequences for their actions, they end up as president ruining the country.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. According to a federal judge's ruling, abortions are no longer legal in North Carolina after 20 weeks of pregnancy. U.S. District Judge William Osteen reinstated the 20-week ban yesterday, with exceptions for urgent medical emergencies. He says the Supreme Court's Dobbs versus Jackson decision in June erased the legal foundation for his 2019 injunction against the state law. Republican leaders had pushed for Osteen to take a fresh look at the situation after Dobbs versus Jackson. Attorney General Josh Stein's office wanted the injunction to stay in place. In Columbus County, the sheriff's office has arrested a man they say is responsible for 5 breaking and entering incidents in Tabor City. 52-year-old Jimmy Stanley Thompson is accused of breaking into 2 vehicles on July 18th, stealing a gun from each. The sheriff's office also believes he broke into another vehicle the next day. Thompson then allegedly stole more guns from vehicles on July 31st and allegedly broke into another vehicle the next day. He was arrested August 6th. The Columbus County Sheriff's Office has also arrested 3 teens for a break-in at the Tiger Mart in Cerro Gordo. 18-year-old Sean DeMarcus Doe of Cerro Gordo was arrested Monday after allegedly taking part in a break-in at the Tiger Mart on Andrew Jackson Highway Southwest late Tuesday night, along with a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old. One juvenile was arrested with Doe, while the other was arrested 3 days later. Doe received a $10,000 secured bond. The 2 juveniles were taken to a detention facility in New Hanover County. Authorities believe all 3 may be connected to other crimes in Cerro Gordo. And the North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher has 3 new baby otters, and now the public can finally see them in action. They're not even 3 months old yet, but the 3 Asian small-clawed otter pups at the North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher already have gotten an utterly big fan club on social media. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. Another quiet day on tap under sunshine and clouds, and pretty nice beach weather as our highs get into the lower 80s. Low risk for rip currents, and inland of the coast will climb into the middle 80s, about a degree or 2 shy of where we should be for this time of year. Not going to rule out an isolated downpour throughout the afternoon hours, but most backyards hold on to the dry time. Overnight tonight, though, clouds increase, and our chances for showers start to increase heading into Friday. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh, local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
This week on All Things Brunswick, our guest will be Chad Adams. Chad will be joining us to discuss recent events in the news and much more. Join us 6 p.m. Tuesday right here on The Big Talker.
Apologies. Without my coffee, I am not the most with it guy, as you can imagine. Oh, there's another button I gotta push. There it is. Welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. Please visit the website, bigtalker.live. Download the app for Android, iOS devices. And you can send an email with any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques. And, for a lot of fun, make sure after this show you go back and listen to Heard Tell as well is a great program, but Voice in the Pen. So if Miss Faircloth is still with us, I'm going to address hers. I've known a number of people in DSS. In fact, when I was married, my wife was one of the social workers and worked her ass off to get out of that job. A lot of those cats, right, they're just caseworkers that are making crap money, like what teachers make. And when they started out in college, right, freshmen with the little gleam in their eyes and they're all sparkly and doing beer pong or whatever the hell kids do today, and they actually want to try and help, and then they get into the DSS and they find out that the actual rules and regs are harder to get around to help the kids as best they can. So I wouldn't say the DSS rank and file are bullies, but I will say that any given administration, bureaucracy, or entity that has a dollar sign anywhere in it, whenever you see a dollar sign, just know that there is corruption. Just know that there is somebody grifting and getting their hands on that money. And the education system, it's easy to see where the money is going, straight to administration, straight to the people who aren't doing work for the students, direct student. What I would consider under DSS, they did, because now it's distracting. I'm trying to read at the same time. If there's a bucket of money, it doesn't matter if it's in Congress, it doesn't matter if it's the lottery, it doesn't matter where or what the money, whatever the bucket of money is, somebody is trying to scam their way into that money, right? We got a whole bunch of Indians in Calcutta, India, calling Americans thousands of times a day doing this. And for India being, what they're, I don't know what, supposed to be our friends, and yet they, once these guys are busted, they're rewarded, they're let go, right? I mean, it's brutal. Now, when trying to take care, and as far as lying, as Ms. Faircloth has put it, it is not limited to DSS, and it's not going to be limited. And I wouldn't even say that they are primary abusers of this type of behavior. Right? Because keep in mind, the rank and file are just trying to get through the day. And think about it, working at DSS is not going to be the dream job. In a lot of cases, I would even bet it's a midpoint job, right? You take this job to sort of get the experience and meet the people so that you can get the hell out of that job. So railing on DSS is going to be more about the administration and the hand tying that's there. And my complaint with the DSS is far more under the direct care situation. Now, again, going back to 1968, they really didn't have child abuse as a term. Domestic violence wasn't a term. It was just stress. The head of household was a little stressed, right? And nobody in my family was immune. My mom had her ribs broken a couple of times. When the ambulance arrived, the story I heard was, oh, she slipped in the tub. We'll have to put those little sticky things down so she doesn't slip in the tub again. Oh, that makes sense. I watched him put both hands on the washer and dryer on opposite sides of the laundry room and could repeatedly kick a Dalmatian puppy almost to death. That's the kind of person my father was. But he was a hero. I will say this. He saved countless thousands of veterans' lives with the work he did in nephrology. That's the work on kidneys. He also investigated Agent Orange and treatments for our veterans that have been exposed to Agent Orange during, I believe, Korea, Vietnam. I'm not sure exactly which of those conflicts Agent Orange was used the most in, but it didn't do him any good. Well, maybe it did. I don't know. I mean, it gave him a career. And again, you know, he cared about the veterans under his care. Very much so. That was the focus of his life. But it created a monster in the process. So let's take a look at all the humans that are horrible human beings, right? Sean Whalen. The only thing that we actually know about the guy is that he takes Chinese products, tears out the Made in China tag, sews in a Made in America tag, jacks up the price, pockets the difference. But maybe he's a great dad to his children. If there's any woman that would sleep with the guy, but that's, you know, that's a whole nother bag of bailiwick. I don't even know what the terms are. But yeah, exaggerate. Well, keep in mind that when it does go to court, and I wish mine had gone to court, really, discovery and judicial prudence. I'm trying to think of the two terms where if you can prove that there was dishonesty, right, then you can definitely have your case escalated or re-reviewed, et cetera, even moved to another venue, right? But first of all, you have to have, and here's where it really sucks, is that you have to have a damn good lawyer that's willing to do the work that you're paying them for, right? Because most of the lawyers are along the lines of the Giuliani crowd. They're just going to say crap and expect you to pay them. And they're not really worried about the case as they are winning, right? Because that's how this works. So if you can win based on whatever, unless, of course, you have some sense of conscience, right? Like Alex Jones's lawyers. I think that was the most... I mean, the guy looked like he was selling MDMA at the nightclubs on the side. I mean, his haircut was bad, his suits were cheap, and he just looked like an incompetent boob. But I think I misread him when it was disclosed that he had turned over the entire cell phone and didn't mark any of it as privileged. That was the best boob move you could make. Because now all of that has been escalated to the January 6th and everything else, showing how much of a horrible human being this son of a bitch was. But at least he's not adopting children. Whether he has his own or not, or somebody slept with him, I mean, that's a different story. Right? And I remember the Saturday Night Live skit where somebody was trying to blame that, you know, since no girl had slept with this guy, that's why he became a raging gun-toting lunatic. And they came up with the phrase, I think it was Saturday Night Live. It was one of those comedian persons come up with, use your cooter to stop a shooter. Right? I mean, the insane stuff that we come up with is insane. But we continue to use that as a basis for how we're going to decide who's going to ruin the government next. And this hero worshiping of a moron is the reason why we are looking for a morning show host who isn't as critical of the orange monster, right? I mean, there must be a hero in there somewhere, but I haven't seen it. But that's me. I have a higher standard. I've already, you know, when I was introduced to this planet, it was not under the best of circumstances. You feel me? So, call it what you want. Call it love, call it discipline, call it tough love, whatever. I was already aware, before I knew my own name, what this world had in store. And that's... You know, that's the basis of it all. Oh, yeah, the lawyers are in it for the money. That's it. That's all it is. I mean, I have, years ago, and I wish I could remember the guy's name, I got invited to oh, wow, you're a musician. I've got some musical stuff at my house, and some friends are coming over, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm going to a lawyer's house to party. How boring is this going to be? I saw more cocaine and weed at that party than I had seen at any other party with my, I want to say, hoodlum friends, right? These guys are all in business suits, and they're making, they make, what, $100, $150 an hour, right? So he's certainly not hurting for cash. He's got the latest stuff. He's got this, at the time, right, Prince had just dropped 1999, and much of the same gear that Prince had used, this guy had. Didn't know how to use it. So, yeah, I catch a buzz, plug it in, and start making music left and right, and people are like, oh, my God, you're so talented. Dude, anybody with a spliff and this equipment could make a Prince record, all right? Of course, I wasn't as good of a guitar player then as I am now, so yeah, I was limited to a lot of the keyboard. But these were the guys that were like, prosecuting or defending, depending on which side of the aisle they were on, because once the doors close, it's much like the political BS, right? It's all pro wrestling bravada. Yeah, we're going to crush our opponent. We're the voice of the right. This is a bad trial. Whatever the noise is during the courtroom, and then they go to lunch and sit down together. I found this out, really disappointed. If you want to talk about corrupt during the divorce proceedings and custody battle of my own marriage, it turns out that the court did not bother to inform me that my lawyer had been disbarred and run out of town, disappeared to Florida with all of my money and everybody else's money, and had to start my case over from scratch. But because nobody bothered to inform me until after the statute of limitations, yeah. A lot of tricks in the court system that make it untrustworthy. That's once it makes it to the court. Now, I do have to say, look, as much as I don't like it, as much as it can be a pain in the ass, I have to trust that there is some sort of paperwork in this thing. Now, I don't have the money or the lawyer to step up and say this was all unfair and here's how I can prove it. And they're not going to listen to me because this is in tiny town Kentucky where her parents and her family have been, her lawyer was working pro bono because she used to scrog him in high school. I guess. I don't know. This is, tiny town. Tiny town USA works even more corrupt than anything on the big scale because it doesn't take near the money because the sex is cheaper, right? Because who's going to go to tiny town to have sex with this guy? Oh, but it'll get you pro bono legal work. How's that? You can't call it prostitution, but you can call it a, what is that, a eye for an eye? What's that? The value thereof is equal. Because as long as you're getting screwed, you can screw other people, I guess. That's the whole basis of how this thing works. And it doesn't matter if you're running a country or a county. The same crap applies. So I'm really hoping we get some adults. It's not looking like it. I mean, the latest round of elections has shown us that this hero worshiping of an orange guy is actually dominating the political landscape and voter consciousness, which is frightening. So maybe, we have to develop a new way of educating our children to understand what the actual political process is, how it works, what's in the Constitution, right? All 7 articles of it. There's only 5 that are useful, but, there's 7 total. 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom. One's for corrections and one's to set up intent. Like a preamble, if you will. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm. Yes, it's very, very uncomfortable. It hurts. I'm in physical pain this morning, so it's very difficult to concentrate Very difficult to try and come up with anything cool, unique, funny, right? All I can do is just kind of knuckle through it. I wonder if I can even read this story at the moment. I'm just... Oh, smoking gun. Thank you, guys. You helped me out. Oh, look, Florida woman. Floridian busted for torrent of threats and harassment because the woman made 11,000 calls to the police line. August 10th, right? Just a week ago. A Florida woman this year has made more than 11,000 harassing phone calls to a police emergency communications center, according to cops who say the defendant admitted that she loves playing this game. Carla Jefferson, 50 years old, obviously not an adult, was busted Monday evening on a misdemeanor charge of placing a torrent of phone calls to the St. Petersburg Police Department and the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. A criminal complaint alleges that Jefferson, during a single 24-hour period last month, called the police department's emergency communications center 512 times. And homeboy did the math. So she made 512 calls in a 24-hour period. That's a single phone call, an individual phone call every 2.8 minutes for a solid 24 hours. Do you have that kind of time? Who the hell's got that kind of time to spend the entire 24 hours every 2 to 3 minutes calling the police and giving them, let's see, Jefferson investigators say harasses, belittles, swears at, argues with police employees who answer her calls. The content of these phone calls are vulgar, threatening, or obscene and contain extreme explicative, sexual innuendo, and belittling remarks to the communication staff, according to the court filing. On some occasions, Jefferson has demanded that officers come to her St. Petersburg residence and arrest her. Upon arrival of cops, Jefferson retreats inside, refuses to answer the door, and has in the past given officers the middle finger and screams at them through the windows, Officer Christopher Bishop stated. I wonder if this lady is related to Sean Whalen. In a bid to get Jefferson to cease calling, police officials earlier this year sent a certified letter informing her that further abuse of the non-emergency line would result in criminal charges. Jefferson, who dialed police from 2 separate numbers, allegedly ignored the warning, prompting cops to arrest her in late June on a pair of misdemeanor counts. She was released from custody after posting a $400 bond. Jefferson was arrested this past Monday, like a week ago Monday, for allegedly continuing her phone harassment even after her June 30 caller. Jefferson was freed the other afternoon from the county jail on her own recognizance. Yeah, there you go. There's some brilliance. Investigators say that Jefferson's 11,000 plus calls account for approximately 10% of the total call volume to the St. Petersburg Police Department non-emergency number. Jefferson's criminal history includes multiple felony and misdemeanor battery convictions and a total of 6 years in state prison, and we let her just walk around. Can you imagine that? Just let her go. Yeah. A menace to society inside and out, and we're just not going to bury her under the jail. Right? I mean, in a lot of ways, I think that we are missing the boat in the way that we should handle punishment. Now, I don't think the private prisons are the way to go. Right? I think that's obviously just laying itself out there for corruption. But I do believe that we should have prisons that are a lot less fun to be in for longer periods of time. So if your crime is good for 10 to 15 years, do the 10 years before you can even think about the last 5. And really, I don't think we should take weapons away from prisoners. Let them have it. Right? Chomos usually get their first dose in 24 hours. That's what leads me to believe that Jeffrey didn't hang himself, and it certainly wasn't any of his cellmates, Because had he made it into Gen Pop, man, they would have tore him apart. It wouldn't have been a nice, neat little hanging. There would have been blood and entrails everywhere. So how we handle our criminals is probably something that, backing the blue and all that good stuff is nothing. Nothing if we can't keep them in the prison. This lady is just a rotating door, right? Revolving door, and she admits that she loves playing this game. Now, how do we just reward that by giving her more attention, more fame, and letting her walk around with a litany of felony charges that nobody seems to give a damn about? We got to wait till she kills somebody before we say, oh, well, maybe we should have put her in jail. Criminal history includes multiple felony misdemeanor battery convictions and a total of 6 years in state prison. And she's walking around free with 2 phone numbers just to harass the police. I think she needs to play with a loaded gun. That'd be fun. Yeah, guns don't kill people, but here, have this one. Play with it all you want in this locked little room, and we will wait until we hear the sounds. It's almost like when the bubbles stop, that's when I go swimming. The human race is not long for this planet, and the sooner that happens, the better off we all are. Okay, sorry, it's a Thursday, and this is why we really need a morning show host. So if you know of anybody who's never mind. Just send an email and say, hey, I'd like to talk to the guys about being a morning show host. You're tuned in to the Big Talker Network, Wilmington, North Carolina's premier internet station for news and talk radio programming. Find us online at bigtalker.live.
Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh, local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. According to a federal judge's ruling, abortions are no longer legal in North Carolina after 20 weeks of pregnancy. U.S. District Judge William Osteen reinstated the 20-week ban yesterday, with exceptions for urgent medical emergencies. He says the Supreme Court's Dobbs v. Jackson decision in June erased the legal foundation for his 2019 injunction against the state law. Republican leaders had pushed for Osteen to take a fresh look at the situation after Dobbs v. Jackson. Attorney General Josh Stein's office wanted the injunction to stay in place. In Columbus County, the sheriff's office has arrested a man they say is responsible for 5 breaking and entering incidents in Tabor City. 52-year-old Jimmy Stanley Thompson is accused of breaking into 2 vehicles on July 18th, stealing a gun from each. The sheriff's office also believes he broke into another vehicle the next day. Thompson then allegedly stole more guns from vehicles on July 31st and allegedly broke into another vehicle the next day. He was arrested August 6th. The Columbus County Sheriff's Office has also arrested 3 teens for a break-in at the Tiger Mart in Cerro Gordo. 18-year-old Sean DeMarcus Doe of Cerro Gordo was arrested Monday after allegedly taking part in a break-in at the Tiger Mart on Andrew Jackson Highway Southwest late Tuesday night, along with a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old. One juvenile was arrested with Doe, while the other was arrested 3 days later. Doe received a $10,000 secured bond. The 2 juveniles were taken to a detention facility in New Hanover County. Authorities believe all 3 may be connected to other crimes in Cerro Gordo. And the North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher has 3 new baby otters, and now the public can finally see them in action. They're not even 3 months old yet, but the 3 Asian small-clawed otter pups at the North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher already have gotten an otterly big fan club on social media. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. Another quiet day on tap under sunshine and clouds, and pretty nice beach weather as our highs get into the lower 80s. Low risk for rip currents, and inland of the coast will climb into the middle 80s, about a degree or two shy of where we should be for this time of year. Not going to rule out an isolated downpour throughout the afternoon hours, but most backyards hold on to the dry time. Overnight tonight, though, clouds increase, and our chances for showers start to increase heading into Friday. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh, local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
This week on All Things Brunswick, our guest will be Chad Adams. Chad will be joining us to discuss recent events in the news and much more. Join us 6 p.m. Tuesday right here on The Big Talker.
Oh. Welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network, bigtalker.live. And I put the Big Talker link right there in the chat window. And if everybody running along this thing would do me a favor, click on that, send an email saying, hey, where is Chad Adams? A really good morning show host. Instead, you have this moron on here complaining about life in general. When we have one of the best morning show hosts North Carolina has ever known. And I think if enough people were to email saying, hey, where is Chad Adams? Why don't we have a decent morning show guy on the morning show here at the Big Talker? Instead, you got this liberal hippie. I love my job. I love making everything work, right? I love doing the design. I've done amazing. I don't toot my own horn much, but I have done an amazing job resurrecting from garbage. Literally, I mean, this is when the station closed the day after Thanksgiving, right? The day before Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, 7 p.m. What was that? November 24th, I think it was. We went dark, and there was no plan, and everything there was pretty much disposable. I mean, it had been held together with unmentionables. I mean, the cables were holding the equipment on the table. I mean, it was falling off the table, and the only reason why it hadn't hit the floor is the cables that it was attached to. Since then, I've built it into this amazingly efficient and extremely portable process situation system that I can take. Man, I'm tired of looking at that woman. Good Lord. Just do your time and shut up. And it's a proven rig that I'm very proud of. For example, last night, which, you know, it's an exhausting gig, but I enjoy doing it because of what's involved, right? Singer-songwriters playing original music. By and large, everybody wants to crawl up Taylor Swift's leg thinking she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I would put any of the four people we had last night against Taylor Swift any day of the week. So if y'all are tired of shelling out money for corporate development, which really is what it is, if you want to support music, man, tune into The Voice in the Pen. Get involved. Right? I even had one guy trying to, on Facebook, I love beating people up on Facebook when they get stupid. trying to come at me with, I just want to do karaoke at a live. No. Karaoke belongs over there with you, with the other tone deaf people. If you're not willing to put in some effort, don't come at me. Because my whole thing is, what do you have live, right? One of my favorite videos I watched over the last couple of days is a guy, he's an American living in Japan and has been for a long time. And for about a decade now, he's at the level of a professional shamisen player. And it's a weird-ass instrument that I don't know if I've got the patience to try. But he did it, and he's a professional shamisen player. And the dedication, etc., it takes to do that, right? And he admitted it was horrible. And even now, the entire idea behind shamisen is that it's not perfect. A lot of the Oriental Asian philosophies embrace the imperfections of ourselves, right? The imperfections in the world. They will take a bowl that's broken and glue it back together, accenting the cracks. It's still smooth. It's still a good bowl or plate or whatever. You can still use it. But they don't hide the fact that it's damaged. They embrace the fact that it's damaged and functional and beautiful in that way, because there will never be another one like it. You can crank out 1,000 automobiles, but each one is unique at some level. And I'm not saying like when you wreck a car and tape it back together, it's more beautiful than it was before, but no. We as people. And certainly, I can't remember the name of that form where they glue things back together, sometimes with gold or whatever, to make it look more, I don't know. But that's the idea that we need to look at when addressing music. You're going to suck when you start, but if you don't start, you're never going to get past karaoke. And this guy wants to include karaoke in our live performance lineup, and I'm like, no. We have had a hip-hop night where the guys were rapping to tracks that they created, but it wasn't karaoke, because karaoke is that you want to load up somebody else's song and sing along to it. That was the only exception we have ever made, was for that hip-hop night. And even then, we had a live DJ working to it. So it wasn't like just spinning a track and letting it go. You had two artists up there. And as a player myself, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, my duo partner, Johnny, had quite the evening. He broke a string during the song and just let the looper play and let me play along to it. Needed about, 45 seconds, minute and a half, something like that. Got to get a new string on there, get back in the game. Very next song, breaks two strings. Broke one, then as he was getting ready to pass it off to me, he broke another string. So now he's spending about 5 minutes getting out both strings, because he had to open up another pack of strings, because one of the strings he broke is the one he just replaced. And the poor guy's over there performing surgery on his guitar to let the loop run, and I'm like, uh-oh. So yeah, it was like a 5-minute solo flight to the looper. And it was an opportunity for me to explore in all kind of directions, even if I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I kind of kept it in there. But when he got his tune back up and turned back to me after soloing for like a solid 5, 6, 7 minutes, instrumentalizing, I guess you would say, he's like, man, wow, thank goodness for this kid, right? And for me, it was an exercise in, okay, here's the Phrygian mode, here's the Dorian mode, here's the Locrian mode, here's the Ionian mode. I just went through all the keys related to the key we were in. Some of it sounded absolutely nasty, like the most smoke-stench whiskey bar basement you could think of. And at other times, it sounded as angelic as a Bach chorale piece. Right? And that was just fun. Not all of it was perfect, but a lot of it was just having fun, because my buddy over here is having just hell to pay getting strings on his guitar, and I just need to fill time. I think a lot of the mistakes helped define what it was I was doing. And I'll expand on that. Why not? Because there's nothing else and no one else, so you're stuck with me. Growing up, my mom was singing opera, lead, like soprano star, Pagliacci, Cavalleria Rusticana, the Maestro. I can't even name them all. And many of these, I was in them with her, either in the chorus or in Pagliacci. We had a we had a full chorus, and then we had a smaller children's chorus because of Pagliacci's interaction with the children when he comes to his own realization in the third act, I believe. And a lot of the gigs, I was also backstage. So it was not uncommon to see me at 7 years old hanging a fly line, right? I mean, thank God for counterweights, because there's no way I could do a fly line on my own. I would have gone to the ceiling. And I was raised during that time also playing cello and symphony, so I was very academically properly trained. Blues was dirty music, that sort of thing. I didn't even get to hear it. And jazz was something my dad listened to when we wanted to calm the violence. Everybody just left and let him put on Dave Brubeck or whatever. Dave Clark 5 or whatever it was that calmed his nerves. I think Bird did it as well. He was a big Bird fan. So it's only been in the last 3 or 4 years that the mistakes of not playing classical music were heard with a new set of ears, if that makes sense. Because the more of this nasty tone that I was getting, these just almost grotesque, lyrically grotesque musical passages from different players, and I learned that they were playing the wrong notes, if that makes sense. Because in my academic world, and the way Bach chorale and the Romantic and the Baroque periods are written stylistically, there are some pretty damned rigid rules to this, which is why Mozart was hated, because he got out of that. He was able to go to these clubs and play the stuff that you're not allowed to play in sacred music, which would be an affront to God. And that's most of the music that I was doing at the time was either sacred or operatic. Or symphonic, right? I mean, a lot of symphony music is indeed sacred music. And they followed these very specific rules in composition and performance. So there wasn't a flat 7, dominant 7 chord being used a lot in classical music. And there certainly wasn't, the whole country tricks and blues licks. That's what the uneducated people played. And then I hit that wrong note one day, and I was like, whoa, that actually sounds kind of cool. And then I started exploring all the wrong notes, and then it started making sense. That I had been so steeped in academia music and had paid such attention to it like a loyal minion, I guess, that I actually had developed the mindset of what music should be and what type of people play what types of music based on all of that experience, which was, I have to say, the best, right? I mean, I learned more about theater and how theater and staging works, performances, all that stuff. But it was, I think, not a full service to my musical career to not let me experience blues and jazz, and to hear that this nasty music has a place and it expresses emotions that are sometimes difficult to express in any other form, except in an art form, whether it's painting, sculpture, dance, or in my case, music. So getting to that understanding after 50 years of playing, right? It's kind of like, oh, okay, now I get it. So the basis of this story would allow me to segue into the idea of the human race. Because really, it's not a race. And I do want you to win. But the race that we're in is against ourselves, and it shouldn't be in view of other people, if that makes sense. There's an old phrase I remember in somebody's house that said, if everyone but myself were blind, I would want for neither fine house nor fine furniture. Right? So we seem to have this very performative, this need for a performative exuding of whatever it is we want people to, I mean, this is why people plaster the back of their cars with stickers. This is why people jack their cars with all kinds of stupid, right? Jack out, they camber the wheels to the point that the car is undrivable damn near. Or they squat the thing to the point that you can't see the car in front of you. I mean, we do all kinds of stupid crap to stand out to one another. And in my day, or at least the way I was raised, my day, God, I feel old now. The whole thing was not in presentation, but in actual performance. Rubber meets the road. I mean, that's how you get onto the A team, for example, when I was working for the NBC station. We had an A crew, a B crew, and a C crew, and the A crew got the first call. And if A crew was busy, then you got B crew. And they'd pull one or two people from the A crew to make sure that the B crew actually got through the gig. If you were on the C crew, your budget was screwed, and so was your gig. And my entire thing was to make sure I had an A in front of my, because they have like a little code. And I had an A, I had a couple of A's, a B, and a C. Meaning, if I were to go on an A gig, for example, the Kentucky Lottery, there were 3 gigs, 3 jobs that I would be responsible for. Right? I was engineer 3rd level, which meant that I ran cable. And did some timing and some cool stuff. But for the most part, the higher the number, the scuddier the job. Right? I was A2, secondary audio, so I was setting levels, running cables. So I was running video cable, audio cable, timing it, setting levels. And then I was G1. So I'm on the A team, and my primary job is doing all the graphics. All the fonts, all the numbers, all the names, all that stuff was on me. Graphics 1, audio 2, engineer 3. But I was doing all 3 of those jobs because they knew they could count on me to not only be there on time, but be there early waiting for them. I will have already had my break. So when they showed up, I was ready for them to unlock the door, hand me my gear, and let me go to town. We don't have that mentality anymore. And this is where I really support Mike Rowe's entire thing about, look, do it. Get your hands dirty. Now, for those of you like me that don't like the feeling of dirty hands, they make nitrile gloves. Those are really handy. You can dive into an engine without any fear that you're going to be all greasy and oily when you go to play your guitar. You just peel off the gloves and wash your hands, you're fine. Might prune your hands, but, that helps develop your calluses as well. Trust me. And if you make mistakes, that's one of the greatest things about working with that crew at the time. And we did this at PBS as well. Learned a lot from those cats. We sit down afterwards. What happened? What can we do to make it better? And how can we prevent or mitigate situations that caused issues? We don't do that anymore. I do that with my own gigs, and I'll call people up and say, yeah, okay, so this didn't go quite right. What can you help me understand to make this not happen again and be better for the next show? And that's true for musicians. Musicians don't have to be taught music. I'll just put this out here. They're curious enough. They explore enough. They're interested enough. And they also listen. So when they make a mistake, a wrong note is the best teacher. Because it is absolutely objective. It doesn't judge you that you made a bad note. The people listening might. That's on them, not on you. That note just reminds you that that fret and that string or that note or whatever is just maybe not the one you intended. Very simple, very straightforward. And that's what I loved about being in the physics class and the science class, the biology class, is because the corrections weren't necessarily administered. They were encountered. Just like climbing up a mountain, right, and you stub your toe, you kind of learn from that in a way that's hard to explain. That experiential knowledge is what we need. And that's what I thought as I was growing up, what prison was about. If you've made a mistake, the experiential knowledge of prison would make you not want to do that again. Apparently I was wrong. Like this lady over here in Florida, Collins, like they want to make a career out of it. A couple of articles I've read recently, I don't even want to bring to the table, but apparently the guy committed crimes so that he would go to jail because otherwise he had no marketable skill or a way to feed himself. And one of the articles was quoting the guy as, "I didn't want to be a burden on my family." Okay. That's probably the most bizarre way to solve that problem, but okay. I don't understand that at all. But, you know, you do you, dude. That's all I can say. Unbelievable. But that's where we are with it. I mean, we just let people commit crimes and revolving door. Look, embracing your mistakes is one thing, but capitalizing on them is well, that's how you get the blues. But at the same time, you also get Sean Whalen, right? You also get Madison Cawthorn. Ooh, this is why we need a morning show host. I mean, if you want to talk about incendiary, I'm pretty sure I got that covered. Not by design, but that's what happens when you put a liberal hippie in front of a microphone at 8 o'clock in the morning. Maybe not what you were expecting. And none of the, normally I have pretty cool news stories that I can at least giggle about, make penis jokes. I don't even have that this morning. Right? What's this? Maybe there's one or two in here. Brazilian police find a stolen painting worth almost $60 million under a bed. That's nuts. How's this? Rich people reportedly head to Applebee's and IHOP during high inflation. And who says you can't have anything nice? New York City landlord faces $50,000 fine for installing massive rooftop swimming pool. So, two of the stories the guy has in this list that I get every morning. One of them was the unfortunate incident in South Carolina where an umbrella got picked up by the wind and impaled a woman and killed her on the beach in South Carolina. Well, apparently the wind is a little more nefarious. Apparently more than 24 people have been killed by wind-blown bouncy houses since 2000. That's about one a month. I mean, for all the attrition of the human population, this is just, you know, this doesn't even register. It really doesn't. I mean, 24 over 20 years. I mean, just look at the mass shootings we've had this year. So this doesn't even register. Oh, NASA provides explanation for stringy material found on Mars. It's actually their own garbage. Good job. A Las Vegas landlord requires tenant on Section 8 to sign a sex contract in order to lease home. Remember, prostitution is legal there, so I'm sure that clause is going to be beneficial. Apparently, Southern California residents are going to Mexico for cheaper groceries. Love these headlines. Here's something that makes you go, Delaware man wins second lottery jackpot in 5 weeks. Amazing. Unbelievable. What's the other one here? Oh, this one's got it. They should, Right. Do you remember, anybody remember playing Monopoly Bank Error in your favor, collect $200? Well, copy-paste error results in Nevada home buyer getting 87 properties for the price of one. The county found the error and it's being corrected. They should have just given them... Sorry, Keith, you need to work on this sentence. The sentence reads directly with the sick involved. They should have just given them person all of the land. There's an extra M in there, which makes sense. It's right next to the space bar. I do it all the time. And it's a legit word, so it's not going to correct. They should have just given the person all of the land. It would have changed their life. Biggest mistake you have ever made at work? I think the biggest mistakes I've ever made at work was to actually say what went through my head. You know what I mean? Like somebody pops off with, so how was that? About as bad as it gets. Wait, was that out loud? I mean, the people that I'm saying it to are laughing, but the client who's paying for it is like, yeah, we're not coming back. It's like working on, when I was a kid, working with a couple of guys, we had big dreams of starting our own advertising agency, and I said, all right, and I'll put all this material together, and I'm more the artist. They're the artist. I'm the computer guy. So I put their art into the computer and all this. And this is long before, this is where a lot of computers still had black and white or green and white screens. Or green and black, whatever. So we decided we wanted to tackle our first client, a world-renowned paint company. We put together a big package presentation, had the little folder, right, with our logo and our information, and on the front we had a little, there was a letter on our letterhead. It was, all done shoestring budget at Kinko's. And, it was all done very nice. Looked very good. Beautiful all the way around. And we sent it to them and didn't hear anything back. And we were reviewing our work and thinking, man, this is absolutely beautiful. And it said, Dear Sherman Williams. Did you catch that? It's not Sherman, it's Sherwin. It's W-I-N, not M-E-N. It's not Jewish, it's, I don't know, Sherwin, whatever that is. Maybe that's Italian? I don't know. I'm American. But yeah, we didn't get the gig because we couldn't even get the guy's name right. So all the work we put into that and all the expectations and the wonderful dreams just went poof. Because we couldn't even get the guy's name right. How's that? What's the stupidest thing you've ever done at work? Anyway, with that in mind, I think we will come back, finish out the last half hour, rambling about absolutely nothing significant. Because everybody else is already on the bandwagon and yelling and hammering tamarines, and you don't need that. If you don't need that crap, you come here to the Asylum. It is your refuge in a world gone mad. Be right back.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. According to a federal judge's ruling, abortions are no longer legal in North Carolina after 20 weeks of pregnancy. U.S. District Judge William Osteen reinstated the 20-week ban yesterday, with exceptions for urgent medical emergencies. He says the Supreme Court's Dobbs v. Jackson decision in June erased the legal foundation for his 2019 injunction against the state law. Republican leaders had pushed for Osteen to take a fresh look at the situation after Dobbs v. Jackson. Attorney General Josh Stein's office wanted the injunction to stay in place. In Columbus County, the sheriff's office has arrested a man they say is responsible for 5 breaking and entering incidents in Tabor City. 52-year-old Jimmy Stanley Thompson is accused of breaking into 2 vehicles on July 18th, stealing a gun from each. The sheriff's office also believes he broke into another vehicle the next day. Thompson then allegedly stole more guns from vehicles on July 31st and allegedly broke into another vehicle the next day. He was arrested August 6th. The Columbus County Sheriff's Office has also arrested 3 teens for a break-in at the Tiger Mart in Cerro Gordo. 18-year-old Sean DeMarcus Doe of Cerro Gordo was arrested Monday after allegedly taking part in a break-in at the Tiger Mart on Andrew Jackson Highway Southwest late Tuesday night, along with a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old. One juvenile was arrested with Doe, while the other was arrested 3 days later. Doe received a $10,000 secured bond. The 2 juveniles were taken to a detention facility in New Hanover County. Authorities believe all 3 may be connected to other crimes in Cerro Gordo. And the North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher has 3 new baby otters, and now the public can finally see them in action. They're not even 3 months old yet, but the 3 Asian small-clawed otter pups at the North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher already have gotten an otterly big fan club on social media. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. Another quiet day on tap under sunshine and clouds, and pretty nice beach weather as our highs get into the lower 80s. Low risk for rip currents, and inland of the coast will climb into the middle 80s, about a degree or 2 shy of where we should be for this time of year. Not going to rule out an isolated downpour throughout the afternoon hours, but most backyards hold on to the dry time. Overnight tonight, though, clouds increase, and our chances for showers start to increase heading into Friday. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh, local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
This week on All Things Brunswick, our guest will be Chad Adams. Chad will be joining us to discuss recent events in the news and much more. Join us 6 p.m. Tuesday right here on The Big Talker.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum. Your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker, bigtalker.live. Please visit the website, bigtalker.live. Download the app for Android and iOS devices. You can also peruse our schedule of content for your favorite stuff. Probably better than this one. Like Heard Tell, heard at 7 a.m., 3 p.m. All Things Brunswick, live Tuesday night, replays throughout the week. New show, Living Fit After 50, Fridays at 1. It replays at noon throughout the week. It's just, we're building. We're getting bigger, we're getting better. You should send us an email with any comments, questions, compliments, critiques, or concerns you may have. Or questions, doesn't matter. Let us know. You can chat along with us live on Facebook and YouTube. You can call in, that's right, 910-444-0281. I should be able to hear the phone ring with my headphones on. We'll test that. Yep, I can hear it. That lets me know that somebody would be calling. Other than that, how about a day in the history? I got a few of these because I don't use them very often, so Why not fill some time, get me out the last 25 minutes? On the 18th of August in 1737, first public admittance to the Salon de Paris art exhibition at the Louvre in Paris. In 1838, the United States exploring expedition headed by Charles Wilkes departs for the Pacific Ocean and Antarctica. In 1914, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson issues Proclamation of Neutrality. 1920, the 22-year-old Representative Harry T. Byrne is deciding vote in Tennessee's, and thus America's, ratification of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution allowing women's suffrage after letter from his mother. 1940, Battle of Britain. The air battle known as the Hardest Day occurs. Luftwaffe lose approximately 69 aircraft, and the RAF lose 68 in one of the largest ever air battles. Going back to Representative Byrne, after receiving a letter from his mother casting the deciding vote in ratification of the women's suffrage, I think it was here in North Carolina where the federal administration somewhere along the way had offered a buttload of money to North Carolina for women's health care, and the 5-man panel turned it down. And the news broke that evening on the news. What's interesting, the following morning, by noon, there was a new news story where all 5 men had changed their mind. Isn't that awesome? I think they all received a little more than a letter from their spouse and other feminine presences or influences, feminine influences in their life. I'm sure there were some conversations that happened. Let's see, what happened on the 17th? 1950, Governor of Roanoke Island Colony, John White, returns from England to find no trace of the colonists he had left there just 3 years earlier, which would have been August 18th, 1591. No trace of the colonists. Whoops. 1903, Joe Pulitzer donates $1 million to Columbia University and begins the Pulitzer Prizes in America. 1945, Korea is divided into North and South Korea along the 38th parallel. In 1947, the Radcliffe Line, the border between Union of India and Dominion of Pakistan, is revealed. Okay, 1998, Monica Lewinsky scandal. U.S. President Bill Clinton admits in taped testimony he had an improper physical relationship with the intern on the same day, and on the same day admits before the nation he misled people about the relationship. Stepping up at some point is better, late than never, I guess. But we could have saved ourselves and the taxpayers a buttload of money if he'd just done that first. Anyway, on the 16th of August in 1896, gold first discovered in Klondike, found at Bonanza Creek in the Yukon by George Carmack. Woo! Anyway, 1930, the first color sound cartoon Fiddlesticks by Ub Iwerks, an ex-Disney Walt Disney studio, is released. You would have thought it would have been an actual Disney flick, but they were doing black and white. The first color one was Ub Iwerks, Ubiwerks. I don't know how to say it. 1945, Puyi, the last Chinese emperor and ruler of Manchukuo, is captured by Soviet troops. They do not lead any information to the ending of that story. 1946, Direct Action Day. Widespread riots erupt in Calcutta between Muslims and Hindus over whether Pakistan should be a separate state, killing over 4,000 and leaving 100,000 homeless. Just another example of the sooner we abandon religion for reason, we will know peace. 2008, Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt sets new world record of just 9.69 seconds to win the coveted 100-meter gold medal at the Beijing 2008 Summer Olympics. Back when we were cool. You know, it's a good thing I don't use these very often, because then on days like this, I can go back and use them all at once. Like on the 15th, the Mayflower in 1620 set sail for Southampton, England, with 102 pilgrims. Oops. 1900, the Boxer Rebellion in China. The Empress, her family, and court retainers flee while foreign troops move through Peking in an attempt to quell the rebellion. 1947, India grants independence from Great Britain, remains a dominion until 1950. 1998, I'm not going to get this right because it's Ireland. Omagh bombing in Northern Ireland, the worst terrorist incident of the Troubles, kills 29 people and injures about 220. In 2021, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani flees the country as Taliban forces enter the capital, Kabul, and take control. So the world's been burning for a whole long time. You know what I'm saying? It's not like this is anything really new. On the 12th of August, back in 1121, Battle of Didguri. The Georgian army under King David the Builder wins a decisive victory over the famous Seljuk commander Ilgazi. 1480, Battle of Otranto. Ottoman troops behead 800 Christians for refusing to convert to Islam. The sooner we abandon religion for reason, we will know peace. 1851, American inventor Isaac Singer patents the what? Oh, the sewing machine. 1908, Henry Ford's company builds the first Model T car. Oops. 1981, IBM introduces its first personal computer, PC, and PC-DOS version 1.0. Oops. When you unleash hell on the planet. Anyway. See, on the 11th, in 3114 BC, the Mesoamerican long count calendar used by several pre-Columbian Mesoamerican civilizations, notably the Mayans, begins. Man, that was a long time ago. Fast forward to 1945, Allies refused Japan's offer to surrender on the condition that Emperor Hirohito retains his status. I didn't know that they had done that. I just remember like everybody getting on board the boat and homie had to sit down and sign, and he just looked defeated, like physically, personally defeated, like he had just gone 30 rounds with Tyson or something. 1954, formal peace treaty ends over 7 years of fighting in Indochina between the French and the Communist Viet Minh. 1988, Al-Qaeda formed at a meeting between Osama bin Laden and there's a few people. Ayman al-Zawahiri and Dr. Fadl in Peshawar, Pakistan. Oops. 2003, NATO takes over command of the peacekeeping force in Afghanistan. Oops. Marking its first major operation outside Europe in its 54-year history. Like I said, man, the world's been burning for a long time. On the, what is this, the 10th? 9th. 612 BC, killing of Shinshariskun, king of Assyrian Empire, destruction of Nineveh. In 610 AD, in Islam, the traditional date of the Laylat al-Qadr, when Muhammad began to receive the Quran. Again, when we abandon religion for reason, we will know peace. John Cabot Take two. 1497, John Cabot tells King Henry VII of his trip to Asia. 1675, King Charles II and John Flamsteed laid the foundation stone of the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London. That's pretty cool. The Royal Observatory has been quite an inspiration for staring at the sky, and I am all about that. 1846, U.S. Act of Congress passes establishing the Smithsonian Institute, now the world's largest museum and research complex. So, we're not all bad, I guess. But overall, the world's been burning for a long time throughout history, and we just have different glimpses of it, and most of them, again, are based on some sort of religious argument, disagreement. So I don't hold out a lot of hope for humankind until we come to terms with this. And maybe it's not popular with the red line, but I don't think that, Christianity is anything to base your campaign on. Right? Certainly not for me. And for the few Jewish people that I do know, like I actually ask people, are you Jewish? That's not somebody I do. It's something I do. I also don't ask if you have a penis. I just deal with you. And if the subject comes up, then I might, okay, fine. It's almost like out of a room full of people, how do you identify the narcissist? They'll tell you. Okay, you've told me. Thank you. Done. Don't need that conversation again. But it should be the same thing with religion. You just don't add. It's just, no. What you do at home, what you do in the synagogue or the church or the temple or whatever you want to call the sacred joint. And again, I think it should be just as fair to allow a guy to perform mass standing in the ocean in his swim trunks using a floating mattress as an altar. Apparently the Catholic Church is all up in a panty wad about it. Right? If you're going to get upset about something, get upset about the chomos you got in your ranks, man. Do something about that. The guy's sitting here at a kid's camp kind of thing, and they're outdoors, and it's like, hey, we should have mass. Okay, let's have mass. We don't have an altar. I don't have my little gold robes. The church isn't going to like this. Really? If you're really that supportive of stuff for, Christian education, believing in something is one thing, but needing, I can't go. I'm going to get fired. But honestly, man, if we were to abandon religion in all policy, abandon religion in all of our education, abandon the emotional aspect and knee-jerk reactions to everything, then we will begin to know peace. Because what's happening is that we get so distracted by this crap that we're not looking at how the earth spins. We forget that lots of things happen after you die. They just don't involve you. So being a jerk while you're here on the planet is all on you, man. And we should stop supporting it, stop encouraging it, stop rewarding it, stop voting for it. And look for the people that are trying to improve the entire situation. I'm not going to name names at this point because we're going to disagree on that because we haven't come to terms with how 1/2 AT squared works. I don't like math. Math is bad. I don't need algebra in my day life. No, but you need to exercise your brain. Right? While the rest of you are playing Wordle, I'm actually doing crossword puzzles and reading books. I need that. I can't just put spinners on my car and call it a day and say, wow, I'm cool. No, man, I need to know more today than I did yesterday. I need something fresh. But too many people like to stop at this level of mediocrity and use that as their plateau for the rest of their lives. I have conquered the mountain. You find any artist, whether they're in dance or music or sculpture or painting or music, and you will find that they continue to mature their craft and as a result, mature themselves. And it was even, I think it was, is it Vonnegut? It's I can't remember who it's attributed to, but the guy is basically saying, look, make art. Write a bad poem, right? You don't have to try to get famous on it, but just express. Explore, right? Get curious, get inspired. One of the few things my dad ever told me that made sense and turned out to be true is if you want to meet somebody of quality, and in his case, he was trying to find me a mate, you're not going to find him in a singles bar. You're going to find him in a museum. You could probably find one in a church, but that comes with its own warning label. But in a museum, chances are they have a good handle on all aspects of their life, right? Because they're exploring a museum. They're looking at inspiration. They are looking to resonate with someone else who has had these same emotions, these same feelings. And that's where it belongs. It does not belong in the chambers of Congress. It does not belong in the Senate. It does not belong on the Supreme Court or any court for that matter. It doesn't belong on my dollar bill, for Christ's sake. In Allah we trust. In Yahweh we trust. In Trump we trust. What are you going to put on the dollar bill, really? Are we still worshiping silly? The sooner we abandon the sooner we abandon religion for reason, we'll know peace. I stand by that. Turns off a lot of people. I see people, the two viewers I have left, and I'm okay with that. Because that's my truth. Morality shouldn't come from a book. There's a great story about the rabbi who was asked about the atheist, and he's like, the atheist is there to remind us that morality is independent of religion. That if an atheist who does not use the same doctrine of sin and reward and punishment that we do is still willing to step in, he is saying, God will not help you. I will. And that's what we need more of on this planet. It doesn't mean that you need to be less religious in your own life. It just calls on you to realize that there's a lot to being a human. There's a responsibility to being a human. And so many of us don't understand that relationship, don't understand that contract, and abandon it for their own little level of mediocrity to make themselves feel better. Because those are the cats who are going to be the first ones to slap a flag on their truck and start judging other people as snowflakes. A bunch of name-calling bullies. I don't respond well to that. I don't. Especially if you're trying to intimidate or bully me with some sort of book of morality. It's like, well, you're not reading the whole book, apparently. I did it when I was a kid, and I looked at the guy, and I was like, you for real? Dude, take off that ridiculous outfit. And the hat. Fast forward a few years to a Princess Bride. My wedge. I swear to God, I lost a spleen laughing so hard. And he didn't even get to the second line. And I was already like hemorrhaging internal organs just because I was laughing so hard. It was painful. And elegant. And so spot on. That apparently you have to put on all the ridiculous vestments in order to conduct mass, or God will be offended. Because if you perform mass in a swim trunk in the ocean, oh my God, do you know how many times water is referred to in the Bible? Right? It is one of the basic... and it's anybody who's a fan of Joseph Campbell, if you're not, go look him up. He was definitely popping when I was a kid. Masks of God, where he compares, it's comparative religion, right? And it's one of the foundations for my credo of when we abandon religion for reason we will know peace, comes from comparing all of these religions and the parallels, right? They all have stories about water. Baptism doesn't happen with hot oil or bolognese sauce. It happens with water. But water is a story, is an element. Because we need it so much in our lives, of course, organized religions would hijack it and use it as a form of control and worship. It only makes sense. And fire. Remember the burning bush? No. See, fire is present in all of the texts. And it's also a part of our lives. We need fire to cook food. And I bet, had we remained ignorant enough religiously that they could have slipped in, instead of fire, they would have put in a mana radar range. Because it's not that we need fire, we need a heat, because heat can cause reactions, right? This is where we start getting into the chemistry and science of food. Cooking food not only kills bacteria that is harmful to the body, but it also causes an actual reaction within the flesh of the animal that you're cooking, changing its flavor, its texture, and making it a wonderful meal, along with a bunch of dead green stuff. I think they call it a salad. But that's how we run it, right? That's a legitimate form of control. And the more that we can draw on emotions and less on logic, less on reason, the easier it is to manipulate masses of people. Could you just get them all worked up and suddenly they're all mad? They're mad enough they'll attack an FBI office on something that they're not even a part of. That dude had no skin in the game. Why he went up to the FBI with a flippin' nail gun? It lets you know their level of education, their level of ability to reason, their level of cognition in this existence on the planet. I mean, it's we hold these truths to be self-evident, for Christ's sake. Well, there's your truth. It just lived it. He just pointed it out to you. I mean, how are you going to miss that? My God. How can you miss that? Some days I hold hope, some days I'm just terrified. Well, hopefully after a good night's sleep, tomorrow's show will be a lot more interesting. Might even have a guest or two on. That'd be kind of cool. But other than that, stay tuned for Consumer Choice Radio. I think it's Guns, Politics, and Freedom, and then 10, 11, 12 would put me at Living Fit After 50 at noon, and then 3 o'clock I know is Heard Tell, 7 o'clock is When Radio Was. This weekend we have a new Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipton. You know, so we're building, we're growing, and we could use your help, your support, so please send an email to thebigtalker.live asking, begging, demanding Chad Adams on the morning show. And we will see you in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're tuned in to the Big Talker Network, Wilmington, North Carolina's premier internet station for news and talk radio programming. Find us online at bigtalker.live.
Government has become